He could have been standing on red carpets, smiling for cameras, seeing his name in lights. Instead, he became famous for something else, something far darker. He chose notoriety over stardom by becoming a killer. This is the disturbing fall of Riverdale actor Ryan Grantham. Before we begin, help this channel grow. Like the video, hit subscribe, and try the new hype feature. Thank you. Ryan Grantham wasn't just another young actor. By his early 20s, he had racked up nearly 30 film and TV credits: Supernatural, iZombie, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Jumper, Falling Skies, and of course, Riverdale. But in recent years, his name has surfaced in headlines for reasons that have nothing to do with talent, and everything to do with murder. A murder he committed, shockingly, because he believed it made him a good son. Spring 2020. Lockdowns were in effect. Families were stuck inside together. Ryan and his mother Barbara spent evenings playing board games, just trying to stay positive. Barbara was happy to have her grown son home again. He'd been struggling. Acting jobs were drying up, auditions had gone silent, and his once bright career had dimmed sharply. Ryan had moved out of his dorm and into her townhouse, desperate for stability, for love, for reassurance. Barbara did everything she could, cooking for him, comforting him, trying to lift him out of despair. She had no idea that the son she adored was sinking into something far darker than depression, and that he was already rehearsing her murder. Born November 30th, 1998, in Squamish, British Columbia, Ryan grew up with his mother and his older sister Lisa. His father abandoned the family right after his birth, a wound that would shape Ryan's entire life. He grew up feeling rejected, unworthy, invisible. School brought no refuge. He was bullied relentlessly for his speech impediment, for his small size, for being different. By age 11, Ryan was already battling crippling anxiety and suicidal thoughts. Yet there was one constant light: his mother, Barbara Waite, a warm, charismatic woman who loved her children fiercely and lived her life with positivity, strength, and kindness. She was his anchor, his protector, his only real friend. Acting became Ryan's escape. He started at just 6 years old, making people laugh with his little impressions. Barbara recognized his talent and drove him to auditions all across Canada and the US. Paid off. At 8, he booked his first commercials. At 9, his first film role. From there, his resume exploded. 8 roles in 1 year. A guest spot on Supernatural, playing a kid who avenges his bullies with superhuman strength. For Ryan, it was a fantasy come true. Then came the major milestone: the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, acting alongside Hollywood legends Johnny Depp, Heath Ledger, Jude Law, Colin Farrell. His mother was always by his side, proud beyond words. At 12, he starred in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Awards followed. More roles followed. In Becoming Redwood, he landed the lead, and the film became the most popular Canadian movie of 2012. By his mid-teens, Ryan's future seemed limitless. Then, everything changed. After Becoming Redwood, the offers slowed, then stopped. Ryan aged out of cute child star roles and fell into the same trap many young actors face: irrelevance. Depression and anxiety returned. Harder than before. He began using weed heavily. He struggled with sexuality, confidence, identity. He felt lost again. University didn't help. He enrolled at Simon Fraser University but quickly floundered. Grades dropped. He quit socializing. He relapsed after rehab twice. And then came another blow. Barbara was diagnosed with cancer. Ryan felt himself collapsing under the weight of guilt, failure, and fear. By late 2019, Ryan's mind had darkened. He hid everything from his mother, but in private he spiraled. He began consuming disturbing content: real executions, torture, fatal crashes, anything violent. He visited gun clubs, bought 2 rifles and a shotgun. He became fascinated by serial killers, mass shooters, people who were once nobodies before they became infamous. Then he watched Joker and something inside him snapped. He saw himself in Arthur Fleck, the bullied, mentally ill loner who eventually becomes the villain. And Ryan began to wonder, What if violence could fix everything? What if it made him someone? He started planning, writing fantasies in his diary. And eventually, a real name appeared in his plans: Justin Trudeau. He fantasized about assassinating the Prime Minister of Canada, gathered weapons, made Molotov cocktails, tracked the Prime Minister's movements. But before killing a public figure, he decided he needed practice. And the person he chose was the woman who loved him most. It was a quiet evening, just Ryan and Barbara. They played board games, laughed a little, tried to feel normal. At 6:45 p.m., Ryan stood up, walked upstairs, and retrieved his .22 rifle. As he returned downstairs, Barbara sat at the piano and began to play, a melody Ryan had loved since childhood. He sat on the stairs and listened for 15 minutes. 15 minutes where he could have changed his mind. 15 minutes where he could have seen. But he didn't. When the music swelled, he rose slowly, aimed at the back of her head, closed his eyes, and pulled the trigger. Barbara died instantly, a 64-year-old mother, devoted, kind, fighting cancer. Gone before she could even turn around. Part 2. Ryan Grantham stood in that silent house for 15 minutes. 15 minutes where any other human would have collapsed under the weight of what they'd done. But for Ryan, those minutes became something darker. He didn't call for help. He didn't try to undo it. Instead, he grabbed his camera. Ryan wandered through the house filming everything, the furniture, the hallway, and then his mother's lifeless body, still in the same position where he shot her. He narrated it all almost like he was creating content for an audience. And when that footage later played in court, the room froze. His voice was flat, cold, void of emotion. Psychologists said it could be a sign of emotional collapse, a mind dissociating from reality. But Ryan disagreed. He said he understood everything he was doing. The video ended with him staring into a mirror, voice trembling. "You just shot your mother in the back of the head. And you think you're so cool." Was it regret? Was it shock? Or was he rehearsing the narrative he wanted the world to hear? No one truly knew. What is certain is what he did next. At 7:15 p.m., Ryan got into his car, drove to a gas station, filled a large canister with gasoline, and returned home to craft Molotov cocktails one by one. He sat there filling glass bottles with fuel, while smoking weed, drinking beer, and watching TV, with his mother's body just feet away. Hours passed like this, as if the line between horror and routine had completely dissolved. The next morning, Ryan woke up and made breakfast. Then, he walked upstairs and performed what he called his goodbye. He draped rosary beads over the piano so they hung above his mother like a blessing. He lit candles. He prayed. He covered her with a white sheet. Then he wrote in his diary, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I hate myself. No one will ever understand why I did it." He wasn't wrong. Ryan carried rifles, a shotgun, ammunition, the Molotov cocktails, and survival gear to his car. He even made a playlist, as if this was some kind of road trip. His destination? Ottawa, the residence of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He wasn't just running. He had a mission, a delusional mission to assassinate the leader of his country. He drove east for 3 hours, passing 125 miles until he reached the town of Hope. Then, something shifted. The weight of what he planned crashed down on him. Killing his mother was easy, but assassinating the Prime Minister? He realized he wasn't powerful. He wasn't invincible. He was just a scared, mentally collapsing young man with weapons and a fantasy. But Ryan didn't turn himself in yet. Instead, new ideas infected his mind. He considered driving to Vancouver's Lions Gate Bridge, blocking traffic and hurling Molotov cocktails into cars. He imagined standing on campus at his university and opening fire on crowds of students. He even drove to the campus, parked, smoked weed, and visualized the bloodshed. He was inches from becoming a mass murderer. Then something inside him snapped. Not guilt, not fear, just emptiness. He put a gun to his head, but he couldn't pull the trigger. So he started the car and drove to the nearest police station. He walked in, trembling. "I killed my mother." While Ryan was confessing, his sister Lisa was growing increasingly worried. Her mother wasn't responding to calls or texts. She used her spare key to enter the townhouse and stepped into a nightmare. Her mother lay on the floor under a white sheet, blood everywhere, candles burned down to stubs, rosary beads hanging from the piano, her brother's ritual still intact, as if frozen in time. Lisa's scream echoed through the house. Detectives later found Ryan's camera with the recorded confession still inside. The footage haunted Lisa for months. She developed PTSD so severe she lost her job as a lawyer. She couldn't comprehend how her own brother could ambush their mother from behind, without warning, without mercy. Ryan Grantham was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. His defense argued insanity, that he was plagued by severe depression, delusion, and suicidal ideation. But after thorough psychiatric evaluation, the conclusion was clear. Ryan was mentally ill, but he was sane. He understood right from wrong. He understood what he did. He planned it. He executed it. He was responsible. The prosecution described the murder as a devastating betrayal of trust. Ryan pleaded guilty. He explained he killed his mother so she wouldn't witness the violent acts he planned to unleash on the world. Ryan Grantham was sentenced to life in prison, with eligibility for parole after 14 years, meaning he could be free at 37. The ruling sparked fear. Fear that the young man who had already murdered one person and planned mass violence might one day walk free. The court also imposed a lifetime firearms ban. In prison, Ryan began psychiatric treatment. In court, he said, "It hurts to think how wastefully I spent my life. Apologizing feels pointless. With my whole being, I ask for forgiveness." His lawyer admitted that Ryan expected the sentence, but worried for him. A small, slender young man entering a system known for violence. A system where he might become a victim himself. But that reality came far too late. Ryan didn't think about consequences when he lifted the rifle behind his mother's head. Ryan Grantham had a bright future. He had early success, talent, opportunities, but he refused to grow up, sank into drug use, isolation, and a fantasy world where violence felt like purpose. His role in Riverdale may have been the peak of his career. Now the world remembers him not as a rising actor, but as the young man who murdered the one person who loved him most. If this case struck you the way it did me, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the bell. More chilling true crime stories are on the way, and you won't want to miss them.